Well, I want to, you guys, give yourself a round of applause right now. Give yourself a round of applause. And the reason that I want you to give yourself a round of applause is because most business owners love to say this right here, or key players. If I'm not doing it, it doesn't get done. Every one of us want to work on our business, not in our business. But every time we have the ability to work on our business, we tell them we can't go do that mastermind. We can't go do that thing because I got to be in my business. So it's great. And you guys should understand that, you know what? At the end of this, did your business fall apart? Are you not going to put food on your table? Is it going to stop you from eating this week? And I want you to apply that. I want you to grab that as you're in here today, because you're in here for almost the whole day. And I do that on purpose. And the reason that I do that on purpose is I joined a mastermind years ago called C12. And when they told me the number, I almost fell over. But I was okay with the number. But what I was scared of was the time. And the guy asked me this, the guy by the name of Don Light, he says, John, do you think God's vision for your life is for you to put out fires all day? And if you don't believe that that's the vision for God's life, then I believe that God will provide an opportunity for you to sit here for 8 hours and learn to work on your business and not in your business. And that's the vision that I want to cast to you right now. But for me, I believe this fundamental practice is better than any fundamental practice. Bryce used to be a fighter. For those who didn't get it, he said he would get punched in the face the first half of his life. I believe in fundamentals, period. My biggest insecurity is my vocabulary, my speech, and my education. God uses my vocabulary, my speech, and my education every day, right? This is what I used to be worried about. I'm too basic. I want people to think I'm smart. I need people to look at me in a different light. I want them to see me as more than just a laborer. And what God spoke to me is like, listen, I gave you a vision so that people could understand where I want to take them. I gave you a vision that you understood. So if you can't spell it to a third grader, then it's not really worth spelling. The basics is what wins fights. If you go to an MMA gym and you do the jab and the cross for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you probably get aggravated and go, I know the jab and the cross. This is aggravating. Teach me something different. Then you go in that ring with a Bryce who's been doing it for 12 years and he dominates you with a jab. Do you really know the jab? You might know about the jab, but you don't know how to apply the jab. Or you going in depth with the jab. And I believe that's vision. What is your vision? The vision is key. Without understanding where you're going, you're just going. If I go 50 miles in the wrong direction, guess what? I'm 50 miles out of sight. We mistake movement for progress all the time. And if I go 50 miles in the wrong direction, guess what? There's not a shortcut to get back. I got to come back 50 miles. Now, there's God's grace in it, but I'm still coming back 50 miles. Vision is key. And I want to share with you guys my vision. So 15 years ago, I was facing 60 months in jail. I wasn't going to see my daughter till she was 13. My life was over. I was considered a drug addict, a nobody. Matter of fact, we got our DNA reports back. My daughter Trinity wanted me to do Ancestry.com. And when we got the DNA back, they were all excited to tell me that at the bottom of my Ancestry.com, you know what it said? Most likely not to lead. And I've been hearing that my whole life. He's just a laborer. Even my DNA says I'm not to lead. And here you are, I'm leading leaders right now. Because I understood how important vision is. Not my vision, but his vision. What is that thing that was birthed in you? What was it? There's greatness. By a show of hand, who wants to be great? Everybody in this room has had that picture, and the world has put a label on you. not educated, not good enough, not from the right family, and you've accepted their vision instead of his vision. So you no longer cast vision because the vision that you've learned is something you don't want to speak about. But when you understand where he wants you and what he wants you to do, it's key. And I remember being in this program called Teen Challenge, and Will's the director of it now. And I was 6 months into the program, and I remember just asking God, like, just show me a piece of it. If you can just give me a glimpse of like what I'm supposed to do for you. Just a small piece. That's all I asked, Lord. And I remember being on my knees in the chapel 6 months in the program, and he showed me being a pillar in the community. And he showed me, he said, I'm going to make you a pillar in the community. And I'm going to bless your business. And I'm going to bless everything you touch. And you're just going to pour into this ministry. And you're going to pour into this ministry. And you're going to come alongside your mom. And you're going to grow this thing called Harvest. That's what I've got for you, John Huffman. And it's 15 years now, and I'm walking in it today. But I had to accept his vision and not what the world told me my vision was. Because my pedigree says I'm most likely not to lead. But he says, I'm going to have you lead leaders. And I remember being in that program, and then I graduated, and I was so excited. Graduation happened, right? And they hired me on at staff, and then I was balling, man. $7.65 an hour. Woo! Woo! Here we go. And I remember cleaning a toilet one time. And well, first I'm the crew leader, and I'm supposed to be cleaning this toilet. And where the Lord told me, he goes, I want you to clean the toilet. I'm like, I'm the crew leader, Lord. Why do I got to clean the toilet? I'm the guy at the bottom. I'm supposed to tell this guy to clean the toilet. The Lord said, no, I want that. That's your ministry. So I'm sitting there cleaning this stinking toilet. And you all want to know how it's God's voice. If you ever ask yourself, how do I know God's voice? It's not yours. I promise you I didn't want to clean that stinking toilet. Right? So I'm cleaning the toilet, and I'm talking to God, this is ministry, and he showed me a vision, a dream. And he showed me this guy coming to church for the first time, and he walked down, and he sat there, and he was listening to the sermon, and he had to go to the bathroom, and he went to the bathroom was dirty, and he left. And he said, John, if that bathroom was clean, he would have stayed there and got the word that he was supposed to get from me. But because that toilet was overlooked because it wasn't good enough for you, someone missed the message that I had for him. This toilet is your ministry. And so I got to ask us sometimes, how are we leading? How are we casting vision? How are we actually putting it on our people? Because when I made $7.65 an hour, if you don't think 1 minute the enemy came to me and didn't say, hey, John, what about this vision where you're supposed to be a pillar and you're going to bless all these people? And I had to not listen to the world, but remind myself who he is in my life. There's this story in the Bible is Joseph. And Joseph has this vision, and he pretty much sees himself, all of his people, his family, everybody bowing to him. And he comes and he brags about it, right? He's a little guy. He doesn't understand what Bryce was saying. Sometimes you don't tell everybody your vision. And his brothers got a little jealous. So next thing you know, they plot to kill him. They plot to kill this little joker. Then they feel bad. They're like, well, there's some people coming right here. We won't leave him in the well to die. We'll sell him into slavery. So he gets sold into slavery, and then he becomes like the number one guy. Like he's not even a slave no more. He's just there. He's the number one guy. Like the master pretty much says, like, listen, you can have everything that's mine, just don't mess with my wife. And he starts prospering. And then all of a sudden the wife lies on him and says that he tried to have sex, and then he gets thrown in prison. And then it's like, okay, hold on. Lord, you gave me a vision that all these great things were going to happen to me. I'm in a well. Now I'm in prison. I'm doing well again. Or I'm in slavery. I'm doing well again. Now I'm in prison. Well, he goes to prison and he becomes the number one guard in prison. And he sees two people and they have these dreams, and he gives them the interpretation of the dreams, and they get out. And they were people that worked for Pharaoh. And at the time in this story of the Bible, Pharaoh was like the number one. Like there was no kingdom bigger than Pharaoh's. So he says, don't forget me. Well, they forgot him. Well, Pharaoh has a messed up dream and no one can interpret it. But one of the persons died in the vision that Joseph spoke, said, this is how you're going to die. So the other guy who heard it goes, hey man, there's this Jewish guy, this Hebrew dude in prison that interpreted a dream, and exactly how he said the baker would die is how he died. So he brings Joseph, and Joseph ends up being the right hand, the number one next to Pharaoh, and everything that the Lord envisioned on him came true. Why do I say that? There was something special about Joseph. There was many times that I could have made my $7.65 and brought the well with me, brought the betrayal with me. Joseph, every time he had something happen to him, he didn't take the well into slavery. He took the vision God gave him into slavery. He didn't bring his baggage. He didn't bring what the world did to him. He brought the vision in which God gave to him. And every time he held firm to the vision, he began to prosper again. And that's what I had to realize. Like, oh man, I'm making $7.65 an hour. I was happy with that $7.65 an hour. I'm happy with my bubble. Now I remember getting a bicycle. I had a bicycle. I got to go to the gym, right? I had a little gold membership, $10 a month. I don't know if you can get that anymore, but I was so excited. I remember one time I was on the corner. We're in Pine Manor. That's where Teen Challenge is, Pine Manor. I'm on the corner, and I'm listening to Carrie Job. That's worship for those who don't know who Carrie Job is. And all of a sudden, I start worshiping God, and I'm on the corner, and I'm just worshiping. Like, you know, you like feel eyeballs, and I open my eyes, and there's like 7 cars just staring at me. And I don't think they thought I was worshiping. They probably thought I was one of the people in the hood, probably just a little jacked up. You know, you're like, he's on some good stuff. And I'm like, it's Jesus, right? And I remember just being excited about that bike. And then I remember getting my first car, my little meet. My wife used to call it the meet. She's like, baby, you gonna come see me in the meet? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get you in the meet. You know what I mean? I was so excited about that car. If you did 45, the paint went with it, right? Like, you had to be careful. You put more oil in it than gas. I had to tie the back door shut. But I was excited about that car. I was appreciative of the small things because I knew of the vision in which God gave me. And some of us are going through those small things right now. And we're upset about the problems that we prayed for. We're upset on why we have the pressure when we don't understand is the pressure is what's creating us for the vision in which God gave us. And when we can hold to the vision, not just talk it, ooze it. I believe this thing. I believe what God gave me 6 months in Teen Challenge. And because I believe it, you're here listening to me speak today. A 6th grade dropout, most likely not to lead, an addict, someone that was told he'd be no more than a laborer. Because I chose to hold on to the vision. I didn't bring my well with me. I didn't bring my childhood with me. I didn't bring my issues with me. I learned to stop bringing my issues and start bringing the vision. And when you connect with that vision, you can't help but to ooze it. And then as we grew, I remember my wife married me. I don't know how that happened, but we got it done. I'm good at sales, guys. I'm really good at sales, right? Got her. She's like, you showed me Jesus. Where's he at? He's here, baby. I promise. Just give me a minute. So I remember us being married, and the Lord told me I was supposed to serve this painter. I was making $12 an hour. And I was supposed to serve. I'm like, Lord, I was making 25. I had my own company before that. And he said, serve him. I just want you to serve this guy. And I stayed there for 1 year. And I remember going to my wife, and I'm like, hey, it's up. You know, I talked to Frank, and I said, Frank, listen, man, I don't feel like you're utilizing me the right way. I was the first there, the first to show up, the last to leave, right? I created processes and systems for him. I had checklists. Like, I poured it all. I didn't have the mentality of, well, when he pays me more, I'll do more. I just knew that the Lord wanted me to serve him, and if this was part of the vision, then that's what I'm going to do. And some of you guys are in that part of your life right now. You're like, you're not willing to do this, but if this is what it takes for you to accomplish the vision and what God gave you, then embrace it and work to him with all that you got. Because if we're vision-minded and not money-minded, the money will come. But we've got to understand the vision. The money and the other things are a byproduct of it. I like it. I like going out on the boat. I like all that. But I'm mission-minded, not boat-minded. There's a mission at place. So I remember I talked to Frank. I said, Frank, man, listen, you're not utilizing me right. And he looked at me, and he looked at me and he goes, John, I love you. But there's one face to this company, and you're looking at it. And he pointed to himself. And I put my hand out, and I said, well, I'll do my best not to become your competitor. I'll give you 10 years. and then I'm coming for you, right? I called my wife. I said, baby, we going to do it? She said, let's do it. I said, what do we got in the bank? God, I love you, woman. She said, $400. I said, well, let's jump. Let's jump off the mountain and build a plane on the way down, right? And we jumped. And the cool part is she was working for a contractor and got me my first paint job. And the rest was a wrap. But here's what happens sometimes, man, when we get off the focus of vision. My vision changed. I began to want to serve and be accepted by people that I loved. I was looking for affirmation. I wanted good job. I wanted, you're not a laborer. You're proved us wrong. I wanted these things. And my focus began to change from the vision in which God gave me to what I wanted from other people. And I worked hard and I grinded and I woke up at 4:30. My kids never see me. They didn't see me for 7 years and I'm ashamed of it. But you see, they're serving next to me now, and I'm not easy to serve, I promise you that. They're gangster. But what the Lord showed me was, listen, you've made your accomplishments your idol, and you forgot the vision in which I've given you. And some of you might be in that place right now. Has your vision and your mission changed to where now you want your accomplishments, and your accomplishments have become your idol instead of the vision that God's given you? Because that's what happened to me. And I had to make a tough decision. I had to tell people that I really love that, hey, I got to change the vision. I got to go back to the original vision. And the original vision was to serve next to my wife. Because for me to become this pillar that God's called me to be, this is the way that I have to do it. And I woke up with a $10 million a year company, $1 million upside down. Now listen, that could be slavery. Debt is slavery. So I had that moment just like Joseph did. Can I take my slavery and then bring my well and my slavery into the next season of my life, which was prison, to get myself out of here? Or am I going to hold to the vision in which God gave me 6 months in the program? And I chose vision. I said, he didn't give it to me on accident. He birthed this in me. And if he birthed this in me, it's going to come right. And I remember my wife looking at me. I told her that we were in some trouble financially. And she looked at me and she said, how are you about to go to sleep right now knowing this? And I said, listen, all I got is getting some sleep tonight so I can put my feet on the ground, and God's got to get me out of this because I can't. And if you keep yelling at me, I'm not going to get enough sleep to put my feet on the ground. And here we are today. We're doing better financially than we've ever done. Why? Because I held the vision. I went back to where God went. I went back to the basics. I went back to understanding what God wanted for my life. Now, here's the kicker, guys. Life ain't fair. It rains on the just and the unjust, which means you can do all the right things. It's going to rain on you and you get muddy. Or you can go plant that seed at the right time in the right place, and the harvest is ready. And guess what? The rain doesn't come. And you can take that moment of the rain not coming, and you can call it your well, and you can get in that well, and then you can get out of that well, and you can drag that well with you into the next hard season of your life. And then you can grab those two, and you can drag them to the next hard season in your life, till eventually you forget your vision and you accept what the world tells you you are. This is why vision matters. This is why you have to ooze vision. This is why anytime you get with me, you know John is about two things: Jesus and building. Because it's ooze, it's who I am. It's my DNA. I can't survive without it. If I don't believe what God is intended for me to do, if I don't believe who God says I am, and I take on what John says I am and what the world says I am, I'm in a fetal position in a closet somewhere with my thumb in my mouth. The strength that you see is the vision in which God birthed in me. The confidence you see is the vision in which God birthed in me. So I ask you, what is your vision? How do we do it? And are you willing to put the seed in the ground, do all the right things, and the water not come? Are you willing to do it again? Are you willing to put the shovel and put it down? Or are you saying life isn't fair? I did this right. It was this person's fault. It was that person's fault. I wasn't this. And you grab your well, you grab your prison, you grab your betrayal, and you bring it all with you, and it becomes mixed in your vision. Eventually, all you think about is that instead of the vision in which was birthed in you. And I'm going to tell you why you guys are here. It's part of my vision. Because God's got me walking out the first part of it. But he birthed it in me, a new one. And he told me the other day, he wants me to start speaking it. And the new vision is this. There will be 1 million entrepreneurs that will run their businesses as ministries. And we will change the world one community at a time. And it starts with this vision. So that's what I'm here for today. I want to cast vision into you. What is your 10-year? What is it? I just told you mine. There's 1 million entrepreneurs that are going to be talking the way that I talk right now. And they're going to be pouring that into their employees. And their employers are going to go home and they're going to pour that into their kids. And communities are going to change one by one family by another family. And my 3 year is this right here. My kids, and if they want it, run what's going on right now so that I could do this full time and come alongside of me. And my 1 year is being on this stage casting vision to 1,000+ entrepreneurs yearly. That's my vision. But we got to think about how we got to get there. How are we going to get to those places? And we'll get into that to the next session. But this break, I want you guys to grab it. What is the vision? What is that thing that you always wanted to be right after a princess and a cowboy? What was that next thing? Was it an attorney? Was it the biggest AC company in Southwest Florida? Was it Nation? What was it? And then how do you glorify God and bless others while you're doing it? What is the vision? Just because you lost hope in it to this point don't mean that the vision that he called you to still doesn't exist. He formed you in your mother's womb for great things. And just because you haven't walked it out now doesn't mean the things that he called you to change. They remain the same. So one more time, what is your vision?